They were the worst sort of vandal, acting without care of cost or harm to those they affected.
Is he a hacking mastermind? Police officials tell CNN they're trying to determine if the teenager is connected to any potential hacking group.
Mustafa al-Bassam covered reconnaissance, assessing companies' vulnerability.
We launched a denial of service attack against the CIA.
To know that 50, 16-year-olds doing that is mind-blowing.
Let me throw a scenario at you. You're a teenager with a unique set of skills far beyond what most people your age have. You're given a choice. Continue being a typical teenager who plays video games and hangs out with friends, or use your skills to make history as the teen who outsmarted the entire US government. This may sound like the beginning to a plot of some fictional superhero origin story, but in the case of Mustafa al-Bassam, this was a very real choice he faced, and his decision spiraled into one of the most shocking government cyber attacks of all time. Here is how a 16-year-old hacked the CIA. And before we start, I want to wish you guys a beautiful day ahead. The golden child of hacking. While most kids his age were playing soccer, Mustafa al-Bassam was busy laying the groundwork to become one of the most notorious hackers of all time. But who is this hacking prodigy? Mustafa was born in 1995 in Baghdad, Iraq. When he was 6 years old, he and his family immigrated to the UK and settled down in southeast London. Mustafa describes himself as being naturally drawn to computers very early on. It started when he was 8 years old, and his father came home one day with a computer. Mustafa began by spending hours playing computer games, but his interest in computer games took a very unusual turn, especially for an 8-year-old. Mustafa began to wonder, how do computers actually work? So at 8 years old, he started exploring computer programming and learned a lot about algorithms, digital coding, and data analysis. He even started building his own websites using Microsoft FontPage, which is a program that allows users to write their own computer codes and post them on the World Wide Web. How an 8-year-old was capable of doing all this is beyond me. Mustafa's interests then shifted from creating websites to manipulating other people's websites. He'd go in, reprogram them, and rewrite their codes. This is what most people know as the art of computer hacking, and Mustafa was about to become one of the greatest hacking artists of all time. Mustafa carried out his first online hack when he was only 9 years old, and it all started when he was sitting in his bedroom doing his math homework. He realized he didn't have a calculator, so he searched the web and found an online calculator website, but discovered that he could rewrite the entire website's computer code. With this newfound knowledge, he couldn't resist the urge to tamper with it, and in that moment, Mustafa just performed his first cyber hack.
This calculator had a security hole in it where you could basically type computer codes into this calculator and you could hack the entire website.
From there, the golden child of hacking was born. Every day, Mustafa was glued to his computer, hacking into all kinds of websites. His boldest move? Hacking into his own school's web server. Inside, he found details like teachers' salaries and grades of the other students. Then his school found out.
How did the school react to that?
They didn't really take it very well at all because they kind of thought I was trying to blackmail them.
He wasn't actually trying to blackmail his teachers and classmates. He just wanted to practice hacking the same way athletes practice sports. And because of that reason, the school let him off the hook. But his hacking skills didn't end there because Mustafa needed more of a real challenge. So he dove straight into the internet to find hacker groups and communities that he could learn from. But what he found was unexpected. Despite all these communities of hackers, Mustafa realized that he was actually better at hacking than the majority of the people online, even the ones that were older than him. Then, at the age of 13, Mustafa stumbled upon an article about an online hacking group called Anonymous.
Anonymous is one of the biggest online vigilante groups. Members hack into companies and governments. You've seen them wearing masks in protest. They prefer a life in the shadows.
The article was about Anonymous's most notorious cyber attack called Operation Payback.
Operation Payback was an online operation to support file sharing on the internet.
But that's the tip of the iceberg. Here's a closer look at what Operation Payback really was. Operation Payback started as a retaliation against companies that wanted to take down a website called WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks' mission was to unveil the hidden truths that governments and corporations were hiding. One of their biggest moves was publicly exposing documents and videos directly from the US Department of Defense. Because of this, the US government considered them a major threat to national security and declared WikiLeaks enemy number one. Other big companies took notice and joined in the government's fight against WikiLeaks. In 2010, MasterCard fought against WikiLeaks by blocking donations to their website. This is where Operation Payback came into play. Both Anonymous and WikiLeaks believed in free access to information, so Anonymous took a stand to support WikiLeaks by launching their own attack against MasterCard.
This morning, it attacked MasterCard.com, crashing the website in retaliation for MasterCard Worldwide's stated intent to deny transactions with WikiLeaks.
Operation Payback was a success. He plunged deep into this group of online vigilantes, and for the first time ever at the age of 13, he would go on to help perform one of their most extreme cyber attacks yet, taking down the Tunisian government. Mustafa was amazed by the real-world power of Anonymous's online hacking, and at that moment, he found his community. In December of 2010, the Tunisian people began a revolution against their government. The revolution was in response to government corruption. At the time, Tunisia was run by President Ben Ali. But Ben Ali wasn't a president, he was a dictator. Ben Ali misused government funds, rigged elections, and censored free speech. The Tunisian people grew more and more frustrated with his oppressive government, so they decided to publicly protest. The Tunisian revolution matched what Anonymous believed in, bringing down an oppressive government, battling censorship, and most importantly, stirring up chaos. So Anonymous decided to join the revolution.
The Tunisian government has decided it wants to control this present with falsehoods and misinformation and restrict the freedoms of their own people, all of this in order to impose upon them their own self-serving vision of the future.
The online vigilante group's mission was to help the Tunisian people stand up to their own government. From cyber attacking government websites to even providing the Tunisian people hacking software, Anonymous had no limits. They made sure that the government's censorship was exposed for all the public to see. And as a result, the Tunisian president Ben Ali fled to Syria. Operation Tunisia was a success. This operation was Mustafa's first taste of the real-world impact of cyber hacking.
That was definitely one of the more interesting operations because we actually had people inside Tunisia actually approaching Anonymous for help.
And at 13, Mustafa became intoxicated by the power. The origin of Lulzsec. Our world has evolved so much digitally. I mean, we get new iPhones every year. So why don't we upgrade our everyday essentials too? It's time to bring your wallet to the modern era with today's sponsor, Extra. So I've been using this Extra wallet every day, and it is hands down my favorite wallet. My wallets were always pretty bulky, even the minimalist ones. But Extra is my thinnest wallet to date. It's half the size of a normal wallet, but can carry 12 cards and cash. You could also access your cards in one click of a button with their trigger mechanism. So I actually had a wallet that did this too, but Extra's mechanism is so much smoother. Online cyber criminals are obviously a concern, but we also have to take care of our data in real life too. I used to have these RFID blocking sleeves, but they were as bulky as 3 cards. Extra has built-in RFID blocking, so you're protected from real-life hackers. You could also get a solar-powered tracking device, and with just 2 hours in the sun, you have 3 months of charge to find your wallet's location right from your phone. To get a wallet yourself, click my link in the description below and use my code VISUAL to get 55% off Extra's Black Friday sale. Because in our digital age, even your essentials deserve an upgrade. Enter Lulzsec. Lulzsec, which stands for Laughing at Your Security, is a subgroup of Anonymous. Lulzsec claimed they wanted to distance themselves from Anonymous, saying that they felt like Anonymous was straying away from its original values. In reality, though, it seemed like they were just hacking for entertainment. There were 6 founding members of Lulzsec. Their most talented member was none other than 16-year-old Mustafa al-Bassam. The group often recalled the time when an opposing hacker attempted to hack the Lulzsec website, but the hacker was met with the wrath of this teenager.
You wrote a better version of his code in about less than 5% of the space used and just sent it back to him and go use this instead.
This was only the first taste of Mustafa's hacking skills. But what started out as hacking for the sake of entertainment took a shocking turn that ended in taking down the CIA. The hack that shut down the CIA. This all began with what Lulzsec called Operation Anti-Security, aka #AntiSec. Operation Anti-Sec was a hacking spree that involved cyber attacks against governments and organizations to expose classified information, and each attack grew more and more extreme. The operation's first target was the FBI. Lulzsec started an attack against one of the FBI's security contractors, HB Gary. HB Gary is a company that creates security software that helps expose computer threats. In 2010, the FBI hired HB Gary to defend against online hackers. HB Gary and the FBI received the word of Lulzsec and the threat they posed to cybersecurity. So an executive of HB Gary decided to publicly wage war against Lulzsec.
An executive at this computer security firm, HB Gary, provokes them, goes to a computer security conference and says, I'm going to reveal the primary members of this group.
That executive who threatened to expose members of Lulzsec was HB Gary's CEO, Aaron Barr. From there, Lulzsec was determined to take down HB Gary and Aaron Barr. They began a cyber attack on HB Gary's servers, trying to poke holes in its security. Mustafa discovered that HB Gary's biggest security threat was its own CEO, Aaron Barr.
Their CEO was using the same password for his email company account, his PayPal account, his World of Warcraft account, and pretty much every single account.
Aaron played himself right into Mustafa's hands. It didn't take too long for Mustafa as he logged into Aaron Barr's company email and leaked over 70,000 confidential email exchanges. This online hack resulted in shocking real-world consequences for Aaron Barr.
He ended up losing his job. There were death threats to him and his family. They had to move house. So the impact for him was very serious.
But this was just the beginning of the serious real-world consequences of Operation Anti-Sec. Mustafa and Lulzsec were ready to take on their next target, another FBI affiliate known as InfraGard.
InfraGard is an alliance of volunteers from the government and private sectors who want to make sure the country's infrastructure is secure.
InfraGard is a non-profit organization that helps the FBI securely share online information with other governments and businesses. And they were also one of the biggest victims of Lulzsec and Operation Anti-Sec. In 2011, the war on InfraGard began in response to President Barack Obama declaring war on cybercriminals. Lulzsec was marked as one of these cybercriminals, and the US government was determined to take them down.
In recent breaches, more than 100 million Americans had their personal data compromised. This is a direct threat to the economic security of American families, not just the economy overall, and to the well-being of our children.
Lulzsec didn't take this lightly, and just as they've done before, they once again took action. They did pranks like calling the FBI pretending to be President Obama.
Yes, hello, who am I speaking with?
This is the FBI.
We have a very serious issue here, a self-replicating flame botnet.
But this was just the beginning of their attacks. Lulzsec hacked into InfraGard's website and vandalized it. They wrote a message all over it saying, "Let it flow, you stupid, stupid FBI battleships." It wasn't long until Lulzsec managed to get their hands on the login details of InfraGard users. They used this classified information against one particular user, Kareem Hijazi. Hijazi was known as a white hat hacker, which means that companies allowed him to hack their sites to test their security. Hijazi used his hacking skills to legally collect data for both InfraGard and the FBI, making him a goldmine of classified FBI information. With so much sensitive information at stake, Lulzsec saw an opportunity. They threatened Hijazi, saying they'd leak all his data unless he paid up. So not only did they have this goldmine of FBI information, but they also had Kareem Hijazi pushed into a corner. But Hijazi didn't give in to their ultimatum. Instead, Hijazi exposed them. He released a public statement saying, "In spite of these threats, I refuse to pay off Lulzsec or supply them with access to this sensitive botnet information. Had we agreed to provide this data to them, Lulzsec would have been able to grow the size and scope of their DDoS attack and fraud capabilities." However, this exposure wasn't enough to drive Mustafa or the Lulzsec group away. Instead, it added more fuel to their fire and pointed them toward their biggest hacking target of all time, the CIA. They began by launching a DDoS attack on the CIA website. DDoS stands for Distributed Denial of Service. It involves hacking into a website and flooding its server with online traffic until the website shuts down.
Basically what it does is it floods a website with so many requests, so many bogus visitors that from so many different directions that the site simply crumples under the traffic.
Think about a DDoS attack this way. Let's say you're in math class. Your math teacher is showing you how to do a math equation. You're able to keep up with what they're saying at first. Your teacher begins speaking faster and throwing more and more information at you. Soon enough, you're no longer able to process what your teacher is saying, so you give up and your brain shuts down. This is what happened to the CIA website. Mustafa and Lulzsec flooded the CIA website servers until they shut it offline. But the website didn't just go offline. All of the CIA's internal databases also shut down. At 16 years old, Mustafa infiltrated the most secure government organization and news spread like wildfire. This was a massive embarrassment for the US government. After 4 hours of hacking chaos, Lulzsec posted a tweet saying, "Good night, Twitter. The CIA anti-lizards will probably rise from the packet sea while we rest our shining yet saturated power field arrays." To Mustafa and Lulzsec, this was their ultimate hacking accomplishment. But little did Mustafa or the other Lulzsec members know there was a rat among them, and the hack into the CIA was already compromised from the beginning. The double agent. Imagine going through multiple operations with your close friends only to find out that one of them was a double agent. Well, the CIA hack was compromised from the very beginning. Enter Hector Monsegur, aka Sabu.
Monsegur eventually adopted the name Sabu and joined a mysterious group of hackers about to take off.
That mysterious group was Lulzsec, and Sabu was one of its founding members. But Sabu's road to becoming a famous hacker was full of hardships and tragedy. Sabu was originally born in Puerto Rico and entered the world with odds already stacked against him. His 16-year-old father carried the responsibility of taking care of Sabu on his own after his mother left. Eventually, Sabu and his family immigrated from Puerto Rico to New York City, where he grew up in the projects and was raised by his father and his grandmother. But by 2010, with his grandmother's passing, Sabu found himself stepping up to take care of his 2 young nieces. Money was tight, and the weight of responsibilities were heavy for Sabu. He needed to provide for his family, but the way he did that wasn't simply by getting a job. Sabu began hacking into large banks and committing credit card fraud. But what started out as hacking to provide for his family turned into an unexpected passion. He dove into the world of hacktivism, which is a combination of computer hacking and activism for a political or social agenda. And just like Mustafa, he found his calling with one of the biggest online hacktivism groups of all time, Anonymous. He met other Anonymous members online who shared his passion for hacking. One of those online members was 16-year-old Mustafa. From there, Sabu, Mustafa, and 4 other Anonymous members formed Lulzsec. Sabu was one of the members that played a key role in the Lulzsec hacking operations, specifically the InfraGard hacks. But little did Sabu know he was being watched. Days after Lulzsec hacked into the FBI affiliate InfraGard, the FBI came knocking on Sabu's door. They finally arrested Sabu and gave him an ultimatum.
So they said, well, we know who you are. We know what you're doing. And we also know you have 2 kids in the house. You make the decision.
Sabu had a choice. He could refuse to give up information about Lulzsec and risk going to jail, or he could help the FBI and avoid jail time. Sabu decided to do what was best for his family and became an FBI informant. His main mission? Help the FBI take down Lulzsec. To carry out this mission, Sabu continued working with Lulzsec and participated in their CIA hack, which helped him seem less suspicious. While he was doing this, he was also collecting Lulzsec's secret data and chat logs. Mustafa and the other Lulzsec members had no idea. Whether Sabu felt bad for turning on his fellow Lulzsec members is up for debate.
It wasn't a situation where I identified anybody. I didn't point my fingers at nobody. I did not provide...
You're rationalizing this.
No, I'm giving you reality. My cooperation entailed logging and providing intelligence.
In reality, Sabu's decision led to a downward spiral for his fellow Lulzsec member, Mustafa. While playing on his computer in his childhood bedroom, Mustafa heard a bang on the door. It was the UK police. The police barged into Mustafa's bedroom and raided the entire room.
I just kind of sat in my room for 3 hours as I watched them try to search my whole room for any kind of like USB sticks or laptops.
From there, he was taken to the police station for interrogation. The police informed him that he was being charged with 80 crimes, each charge equaling 1 hack he carried out with Lulzsec. Little did they know they weren't dealing with your average 16-year-old.
Were you scared at this point?
I don't think I was scared specifically. I was more annoyed or pissed off.
The police interrogation lasted for hours, but Mustafa gave up zero information about Lulzsec members or government hacks.
And they were hoping that I would basically reveal to them what I did or try to snitch on other people in the group. I didn't. I just, like, every question they would ask, I would say no comment.
After being in custody for 24 hours, the police were forced to let him go. But Mustafa was far from being off the hook for the cybercrimes he committed. What followed was a dramatic court case fit for TV. In May of 2013, Mustafa came face to face with 3 fellow Lulzsec members for the first time ever in real life in court. One of the most shocking twists was that one Lulzsec member had been lying about their identity the whole time. A 16-year-old girl named Kayla was actually a 26-year-old military veteran named Ryan Aykroyd. But this was just one of the many courtroom twists. Mustafa ended up pleading guilty to computer misuse. So this should have been an easy case for the defense lawyers because he pleaded guilty, right? Well, the defense was limited on what they could reveal in court. This was because they couldn't reveal how the police tracked down Mustafa.
If they reveal how they caught me, that's like a matter of national security because they're revealing the spy techniques.
This limited the amount of evidence the police could provide. As a result, Mustafa was only charged with 2 counts of cyber hacking. From there, it was time for sentencing. At their sentencing, the judge had harsh words for Mustafa and the other Lulzsec members. You cared nothing for the privacy of others, but did everything you could through your computer activities to hide your own identities while seeking publicity.
Mustafa al-Bassam, the youngest of the hackers, was given a 20-month suspended sentence for 2 years, plus 300 hours of community work.
With a suspended sentence, Mustafa would have to serve 20 years in jail only if he committed another crime. He ended up serving his 320 hours of community service working at a non-profit clothing store that sold clothes for deaf and blind people. His harshest punishment was a serious crime prevention order. This meant that he had to inform the police anytime he bought or threw away a computer. He also couldn't delete his browser history, but the golden child of hacking found a loophole.
They never said I couldn't use private browsing mode, so that was the easy way around it.
After the court case saga, there was still one big question. Was this the end of Lulzsec? Whether Lulzsec is still around remains a mystery. After the members' arrests, Lulzsec claimed they were disbanding.
In a statement released on its Twitter account, it said,
"Our crew of 6 wishes you a happy 2011. So with those last thoughts, it's time to say bon voyage."
However, there are thought to be offshoots of Lulzsec operating in China and Latin America. Mustafa is no longer a member of Lulzsec, but where's the golden child of hacking now? From villain to hero? Today, Mustafa's life looks pretty different from what you'd expect for a convicted felon. After his arrest, Mustafa earned a PhD in scaling cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology from University College London. And in 2021, he founded a company, Celestia Labs, that uses blockchain technology to provide Web3 security. He even landed a spot on Forbes' list of the top 30 tech entrepreneurs under the age of 30. But there's one very ironic part to the story. Mustafa now advises companies and governments on how to strengthen their cybersecurity. Yes, the 16-year-old who hacked the CIA now helps protect against hackers.
The companies that are being impacted by this ransomware today are the companies that haven't updated their software. This is why it's very important to make sure that your software is up to date so that any vulnerabilities on your systems can be patched.
Today, Mustafa is considered a tech mogul and has an estimated net worth between $5 to $10 million. Despite his success, some people are still critical of Mustafa. They argue that Mustafa got off too easily for his cybercrimes against the FBI and CIA. But it all boils down to this. Is Mustafa a criminal mastermind posing a major threat to national security? Or is he a cyber Robin Hood taking from greedy governments and giving to the public? Before you answer, consider this. We're presented with a choice between good and evil every single day. This choice can be as small as driving on the highway and letting a car merge into your lane versus speeding up and blocking them. Whichever option you choose, you have your own reason behind it. So, was Mustafa al-Bassam a villain or a hero? I'll let you decide. Visual Venture. Wait, before you go, click this playlist right here to watch more dark internet documentaries because the algorithm will promote my channel more if you guys watch multiple videos. Please have an absolutely wonderful week. Peace.